messengers,
Which
elders,
angels of the
elders, really. I think that's more or less what it's talking about there. I've got that written in here, messengers or elders. Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in Yahweh. For as the woman is of the man, even so the man also by the woman. But all things of Elohim. Judging yourself, is it comely that a woman pray to Elohim uncovered? He said, just judge yourself.
So we just have to decide whether to pray in private with your head covered.
He said, just judge yourself. Is it comely for a woman to pray
Read,
until Elohim uncovered?
read verse 15.
But if a woman have long hair, it is an honor to her, for her hair is given to her for a covering. Now look at that covering. See, that's a different covering than the one in the verse before. Look in verse 13 and then verse 15. You'll see
Okay,
two
verse
different
13.
coverings.
Well, the word is uncovered in verse 13. It means unveiled or uncovered in verse 13. But the woman, the covering in verse 15 is something thrown around one, such as a mantle or a veil, a covering vesture. So,
I thought that there was, it's been a long time since I looked it up.
so let's go back up here where it says covered.
Yeah.
Um, let me see. In verse 6, if the woman is not covered, that is, let me see, did I look at the right one? Okay, covered.
That's the
That
one.
means totally covered. That is a veil, hidden, or covered. So it's katat kalupto. The definition comes from, it means to cover totally. That is
You
a
use
veil.
common sense. If it's talking about hair, then a man should not have any hair whatsoever.
No, it's that it shouldn't have long.
Yeah, well, but a long hair on a man would be able to veil him as like a woman has with her long hair if she didn't brush it all back.
What it's all about, the whole thing. He said, judge for yourself. See, is it uncomely? Is it comely that a woman pray uncovered? What's the covering for? This is the one I was talking about when I was speaking last week. The only thing it's for is to show I am not taking authority. That's what the covering is for. I'm speaking out, I'm praying, I'm prophesying, but I am not, this thing right here shows that I'm not taking authority.
It's I am subject to my
That's
head.
what the whole thing's for.
You're saying you're subject to your head.
Right. That's what it's all about.
All right, then all these people, back then, I'm writing this, if they sat down with their wife at home to pray over their food, I'm saying this because we do this every day,
The man would pray.
the man would pray, you wouldn't ask your wife to pray.
The man would pray. You're right.
Okay, because that is very
A
confusing.
man could ask his wife to pray
But then she
and
would
she'd
have to
cover her
cover
head.
herself.
and show that she's not taking authority. There wouldn't be nothing wrong with that. But usually the man
The
would be
man
the
would
one to
pray.
pray.
Right.
They have
that
this
makes
Jewish
sense.
thing about where a woman, takes it over the candle and does
Well,
the prayer and all
that's-
that kind of stuff.
That's a tradition that was.
Yeah.
It's a bond.
Now, let's go to the veil. The vow. Let's go to the woman's vow. That's in Numbers 2. Okay, it's 30, chapter 30, I think.
The what book?
Chapter 30.
Numbers.
Number, page 184.
It starts, well, actually, you can,
Start
Back
verse
up.
1.
yeah, verse 1.
And Moses spake unto the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Israel, saying, This is the thing which Yahweh has commanded. If a man vow a vow unto Yahweh, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth. Now, we know one guy that really got in trouble like that, remember?
Yeah, Jephthah.
He made a vow. You did me this, you gave me this victory. Now, whatever the first thing comes out of my house when I get home,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna sacrifice it to you. And he only had one daughter that he loved. And actually, she comes running out with templates and everything. Oh no, look what you done. And I believe he actually sacrificed her.
I don't, there are different ways of sacrificing things. It doesn't have to be a burnt offering. You can sacrifice to the temple. You can give her to the temple for temple
It
service.
said burnt offering. I will not sacrifice her in a burnt offering.
That's what it says.
It also says
I don't see how that would be acceptable to Yah.
well, I don't think it really was as an acceptable sacrifice, but I think he did it because of the vow. Also, the scripture says there that the daughters,
She
they had a
insisted.
tradition afterwards where they would go up and bewail her.
3 days, yeah, every year. All right. If a woman also vow a vow unto Yahweh and bind herself by a bond, being in her father's house in her youth, and her father hear her vow, and her bond wherewith she has bound her soul, and her father shall hold his peace at her, then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherein she has bound her soul shall stand. But if her father disavow her in the day that he heareth not any of her vows, or of her bonds wherewith she has bound her soul, shall stand, and Yahweh shall forgive her, because her father disavowed her.
Disallowed, not disavowed.
Disallowed her, excuse me. And if she had at all a husband when she vowed, and uttered aught out of her lips, wherewith she bound her soul, and her husband heard it, and held his peace in her, in the day that he heard it, then her vows shall stand, and her bonds wherewith she bound her soul shall stand. But if her husband disallows her on the day that he heard it, then he shall make her vow which she vowed, and that which she uttered with her lips, wherewith she bound her soul, of none effect, and Yahweh shall forgive her. But every vow of a widow and her that is divorced, wherewith they have bound their souls, shall stand against her. And if she's vowed in her husband's house, or bound her soul by a bond with an oath, and her husband heard it, and held his peace in her, and disallowed her not, then her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she bound her soul shall stand. But if her husband has utterly made them void on the day he heard them, then whatsoever proceeded out of her mouth concerning her vow, or concerning the bond of her soul, shall not stand. Her husband has made them void, and Yahweh shall forgive her. Every vow and every binding oath to afflict the soul of her husband may establish it. but her husband may make it void. But if her husband altogether hold his peace at her from day to day, then he establish all her vows and all her bonds which are upon her. He confirmeth them because he held his peace at her in the day that he heard them. But if she shall in any way make them void, no, excuse me, but if he shall in any way make them void, after that he heard them, then he shall bear her iniquity. These are the statutes which Yahweh commanded Moses between a man and his wife, between the father and his daughter, being yet in her youth in her father's house. So apparently, she's divorced or widowed, and her vows
She's on her own.
on her own. Yeah.
Okay, so how would she vow and bind herself?
If you vow a vow to Yahweh and say to him, for example, I swear